Resilience in leadership, stories from the Bible. Every leader has been there. That moment when the pressure feels absolutely crushing and you wonder, am I even the right person for this? The fear of making the wrong move can be paralyzing. But what if the blueprint for navigating these exact moments was written in the life stories of ancient leaders? Before we start, let's take a minute to explain why resilience is important in leadership. Resilience enables leaders to navigate inevitable challenges, opposition, and setbacks while maintaining their vision and effectiveness. Organizations, whether secular or faith-based, operate in a fast-changing environment, which ultimately creates change, and as we know, change always generates resistance and conflict. Leaders who lack resilience can easily be overwhelmed by circumstances and may find themselves in a precarious situation, unable to make sound decisions. We're going to explore the journeys of Moses, Esther, and Joseph to uncover their timeless strategies for leading through crisis. These aren't just old tales. They're a roadmap for resilience. Let's start with Moses, the leader forged in doubt. He demonstrated resilience through rejection and opposition and did so in multiple ways. When God called Moses in the burning bush to deliver the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, his first response was fear. He gave many excuses why he couldn't take up the responsibility, but God promised to be with him. Despite being a stutterer and lacking eloquence, Moses didn't let these weaknesses disqualify him from leadership. His initial failure and flight to the desert after killing an Egyptian could have ended his story, but instead became preparation for his calling. He was gripped with fear when God asked him to go to Pharaoh. He said, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" He was wrestling with what we now call imposter syndrome, yet the ultimate test of his leadership came at the Red Sea. With an enemy army closing in and an impassable sea before them, the people panicked. But Moses stood firm, telling them, "Don't be afraid, just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today." That is resilience in action. It's the ability to steady the ship in a storm and point toward a hope that nobody else can see yet. Real leadership isn't about having no fear. It's about taking action despite it. Throughout the wilderness journey, Moses faced continuous complaints, rebellion, and criticism from the very people he was leading to freedom. Even when he felt overwhelmed and prayed, "Please kill me now," he continued faithfully leading God's people. Let's take a look at Esther, who demonstrated resilience in powerlessness. Despite being an orphan, had no power or prestige, Esther didn't let her disadvantaged position define her potential. Esther's resilience shines through her transformation from a powerless orphan to courageous queen. She faced a terrifying crisis when a high-ranking official, Haman, plotted to annihilate her people. Faced with the potential genocide, her cousin, Mordecai, begged her to intervene. He challenged her by saying, "Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just such a time as this?" That challenge reframed her fear into purpose. Her hesitation was deeply human. She risked her life by approaching the king uninvited, a decision that could have meant death. Her famous words, "If I perish, demonstrate ultimate resilience in the face of potentially fatal consequences. Rather than acting impulsively, Esther showed resilient patience, carefully planning her approach and timing to maximize effectiveness in saving her people. Esther teaches us that leadership isn't always about being the loudest person in the room. She also teaches us that leadership is about selflessness. Finally, Joseph's story teaches us how to lead after being broken. He showed resilience through betrayal and imprisonment. His story is perhaps the most dramatic example of resilience transforming hardship into leadership. Sold into slavery by his brothers and later imprisoned on false charges. Yet his spirit didn't break. He could have become bitter and vengeful. He maintained his integrity and continued serving faithfully wherever God placed him. Even in the worst conditions, thrown into prison, Joseph remained useful and continued growing as a person. He interpreted dreams, helped others, and eventually caught the warden's attention through his competence and character. Joseph held on to his God-given dreams for years without seeing their fulfillment. His resilience wasn't just about enduring hardship, but maintaining faith in God's promises when circumstances suggested otherwise. When finally elevated to second in command of Egypt, Joseph used his experiences of suffering to prepare for and navigate a worldwide famine, ultimately saving both Egypt and his own family. He chose reconciliation, telling his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." The saving of many lives, that perspective is the pinnacle of resilience. It's the ability to reframe the greatest pain of your past as part of a bigger purpose. As scripture reminds us, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1:2-3. So what do these ancient stories teach us today? From Moses, we learn that resilience means leading even when you feel you're not enough, but that God is the master planner and He has seen ahead of you and working behind the scene. From Esther, we learn that courage can be quiet, strategic, and patient. And from Joseph, we learn that the deepest resilience comes from finding purpose in our pain. These stories offer more than just inspiration. They offer a proven path forward, reminding us that the challenges we face have been overcome by leaders for thousands of years. These biblical leaders demonstrate that resilience isn't about avoiding difficulty, but about allowing God to transform hardship into strength, character, and understanding. Their examples also show that God often uses our most challenging seasons to prepare us for our greatest impact, building within us the resilience necessary to lead others through their own difficulties. But now I want to hear from you. Which biblical leader's story inspires you the most and why? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this encouraging, please like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.